All right, let's bring her in now. She is a two-time winner of the Mirrorball Trophy on Dance with the Stars. She is an author. She has a hugely successful podcast right now, Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans. So glad to have her back on for the second time on this podcast. It is the lovely Cheryl Burke. Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again. How have you been?
I've been great. How have you been?
Great. A little delirious, I must admit. I've been doing this since early this morning, but I also did the review for the premiere last night until the wee hours. So we're going on hardly any sleep, but I'm not complaining because I love it all.
I can imagine. And you know what's funny? We had you on right around this time last year. I think your
Yes.
first episode had dropped. It had just
Okay.
dropped. And I was like, I was looking forward to it. I said, and then this last year happens. And I swear, Cheryl, every time you have a guest on your show, it ends up making headline news, whether it's on People or Us Weekly. Like, did you ever expect it would blow up the way it is? Because I've lost track of how many headline stories you have gotten out of your podcast for the last year.
It is a little shocking, but then also I understand it at the same time because I honestly don't know half of these stories that are being discussed and that we're talking about because we don't get this chance to really talk when we're on the show. We're being pulled a million different directions and we're just with our partner really. So it has definitely if you would have said that this was going to happen a year ago, I would have not believed you, put it that way.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's fascinating. And some of them are sensitive topics. It's not just,
Mhm.
salacious tea or anything like that. There were a couple that I just wanted to kind of follow up on because I was interested in them. And when the stories were told, I was like, oh, yeah, that was said in this interview. One of them, and it seems like you're good now, but I wanted you maybe to clear the air on the Louis controversy with Louis Van
Uh-huh.
Amstel. It sounds like you're good with him, but when he went on with you, he was very like kind of pushback of, hey, why didn't you back me up? And you're like, hey, Louis, I'm good with you. And he's like, okay, I get that, but I just really wanted you to back me up. Where are you guys at with that right now? And maybe just a short refresher for people that don't remember what had happened.
Well, this all started. Okay, so look, I understand why certain people may just get upset because what they're hearing is a Cliff Note version of the episode. Now, I have always been taught this since I was a little girl, do my research before putting any judgment on anybody or anything. And when you just base something off of a social media clip that is clearly there for clickbait and
Yeah.
also so that people listen to the podcast. I mean, networks on primetime shows do it with commercials and podcasts. And like, this is how we get people to listen. And so when you're being judged off of that 90-second clip or a minute, it's hard to really it's hard for me to have patience with that situation because you can be mad, but then you're not listening to the podcast and the episodes, right? And so even
Yeah.
in Louis' case, like when this was being brought up, it was when I was talking to Lacey.
Mhm.
Lacey was explaining to me her experience. Most of this podcast is not about my experience, it's about my guest's experience. And sometimes I am included in those memories most of the time. Hence why iHeart gave me a podcast about Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And I think that people just are asking in general, like, why bring up the past? But why not bring up the past? Why not heal from the past or whatever it is? And I think with this show, it has left such an impact as individuals on each of our lives, but also as a collective. And the past is the past. No one is holding grudges, yet we have the ability to still talk about it because it is healing. Because Lacey and I did experience, body shaming and we experienced it at the same time. There's nothing wrong with bringing it up. I think it's the reaction that is odd for me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, growing up in the dance world, body image and body positivity is something that you just had to fight through.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
yes.
And it was just a topic that got brought up. But you and Louis are good now. You guys you're
I would
fine.
say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to know. The other thing
I
that
mean,
what
I think so. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, who knows? You're gonna have to ask him, I guess.
yeah, the other one that came up was something that when you a few years ago took over for on Dance Moms, you took over for
Uh-huh.
Abby Lee Miller,
Abby. Hmm.
and obviously there was some words said by her. It wasn't even really necessarily shots at you. I think she was taking more shots at production, but you had a great experience with production there. I was just curious, do you still keep in touch with any of the girls that you taught on that show? How was your experience on that show? Is something that, obviously, I know you love teaching. Is that something you would continue with? Not necessarily with that show, but where are you at with
Yeah.
that?
Well, this because my podcast is solely about Dancing with the Stars, we don't talk about Dance Moms, but I can answer your question regardless. It's still within this subject of, I guess, me.
Yeah.
Um, this was a short replacement. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
even a full season. It was actually like they split it into like 7A, 7B or something like that. And within that short amount of time, yes, I definitely became close to the girls and the mothers. Like I remember towards the end, me and the moms, we went to dinner. And a lot of the girls we do keep in touch. Like I keep in touch with Kalani and Chloe via DM, Kendall as well. But there's also an age gap, right? In a way, I think that they thought of me as their mentor during that time. And my goal in coming on to, first of all, I never thought I was going to get any type of job. Like I thought for sure before I even knew Abby was fired, right? Like this was just a general meeting with the executives of Dance Mom. So it wasn't like I wasn't informed that it was to replace anybody. It was just a general. And it happened to be again a coincidental situation where I was the new Dance Moms, the new Abby, but not
Yeah.
Abby. And that was my whole thing. It was like, I'm not Abby, right? But I do want these young girls to have a good experience when it comes to dance, because I don't think that was the case. And what a shame, right? That would have been for them to kind of leave a world that they loved, past tense, and then no longer dance anymore. So I hope that I was able to influence them in a positive way, and have their last memory of Dance Moms be more of a positive experience.
Yeah, because it seemed like, for the people that watch that show, it just seemed like there's obviously different styles of teaching that people have, and hers was a little more on the negative side. And it just, like you said, you just want people to have more of a positive experience going into dance.
This
But
is
let's,
my thing in general.
yeah,
If you are giving constructive criticism that they can actually take back and work on as far as technique and skill set goes, great. But if it's not, if it's an attack to stuff that they can't change, not great. That is
yeah,
not I wouldn't call that strict, or even that's not criticism or even constructive criticism. That's just straight up abuse in my
yeah.
eyes. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no. I think a lot of people have that sentiment, especially towards her in particular. But let's move on to the premiere of Dance with the Stars. And I think this is a question I've always had structure wise. I know the first dance of the season is limited to, I believe, 60 seconds, right?
Well, it's 60. I would say last night it was like 60 to 70.
Okay.
There's less couples.
Is there a structure where a system where it starts to change? Like, okay, after week 3, we're going to 90 seconds. After week 6, we're going to 60, or I mean, 2 minutes. Is there a structure to that, or is it just there isn't? It's just they do
It's
inform you, but it's not the same set every week. It's same set every 3-6 weeks or whatever.
we don't really focus on the timing of the music, right? So, I mean, we'll just notice that it's not 90 seconds. I think that's the max that they'll go, unless if it's a freestyle. But they
Hmm.
also have to fill up 2 hours of live television, which, isn't easy, but also people do want to see the performance. But there is I remember one season, it got to like 1:45, 2 minutes. And like, I know it sounds crazy, but those added 15 seconds is a ton of time for people like us, especially dancing with people who don't dance. Like
Yeah.
that just takes more physical endurance and also just stamina. And it's not easy. I think it's quality. For me, it's quality over quantity. I always choose that for sure.
Well, the funny thing is when we get to later in the season and they always have that one episode where they have the dance off, that
It's
seems like you're
ridiculous.
literally
It's so
dancing forever. I'm like, I don't even like, it's hard enough to explain to a person who's not a
it looks
dancer.
messy.
Yeah, it's just I don't even know how people pull it off, and literally doing, and it's hard to keep obviously track of everybody who's on the floor dancing, and unless you focus on one couple. But I'm surprised
See,
that they can do 3 or
they should
4
go.
minutes straight.
They need to do what they do in dance competitions, which is have everybody dance to the same style. Let's say it's cha-cha. Don't
Mm,
tell them the music. The BPM is going to be the cha-cha BPM. Dance your routine and have the judges have the men wear numbers on their back like they do in real competitions and
mm.
go ahead. Like I don't know why instead of doing crazy dangerous lifts, kicking people's face, having like the PAs run and tap people, like that is not safe, first of all.
That's what they
The
did in
hot
Greece.
mess.
That's what they did in Greece at the
Oh
dance
my
off in
god.
Greece. So okay, so first night, you've obviously had some partners in the past that had dance background. So first night, not that saying it was easy, but it was easier than somebody who had zero dance experience. So when you went into a first dance night with somebody who had experience versus non-experience, talk about somebody who had basically nothing. I don't know, maybe Jack Osborne comes to mind and probably didn't have much dance
I
experience.
find it
Where do you
to be
start
the
with someone like that?
opposite.
Okay.
It's I think that they are easier it's easier for them to like, it's harder to untrain your brain than it is to train it.
Mm.
So, like, with AJ McLean, it was a challenge from day 1 till we got eliminated. Who else had dance experience? I would say, like, he was the only I don't know, who else had dance? I wouldn't say Juan Pablo, yes, he had dance experience, which he admitted recently. Gio Marini did not have dance experience, but he had the right build, and, like, whenever I would adjust him, he would look like a dancer. So there's just it's so different, but I don't think dance experience I think it hurts you, not it doesn't help you.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to this show, I mean, if you were to look back over the course of the show, I think there's one person that stands out in terms of someone who won the show that probably, um, I mean, if you look at the online people, the overall
Reddit?
consensus,
You mean Reddit?
probably, yeah. I don't even want to give Reddit credit because I have an issue with them. But
Reddit
um,
credit.
Bobby Bones is probably the person that won this show that people had the biggest problem with. I think no one else really comes to mind. Everybody else that won seemed to be okay. I totally get it. Now there might have been somebody who finished second that, you can debate first or second place, but Bobby was the guy that it seemed like he got by straight on his fan base and personality and stuff like that and popularity. But is there anybody, when you look back on it over outside of Bobby that you remember that you were just like, I don't know. I have an issue with them winning. Not taking into account like somebody that you might have finished second with.
I mean, look, it's not so much me having an issue, it's just hearing the audience's reaction. So similar to like Anna Delvey last night,
Yeah.
right? It turned into this awkward vibe because I felt it, even though I wasn't there, I felt it here behind my laptop. But then also when Bristol Palin made the final, her first season, there are winning or not winning. To be quite honest, I don't ever remember who won. It's about the finalists for me. Like
Yeah.
to me, the top 3, top 4, those are the pool of winners in my eyes. But it is not just a dance competition. I don't know how many times I can just say that over and over again. It's actually less of a dance competition and more of a complete package competition. You've got to be a decent dancer ish, or you've got to kill it in the fan base like
Yeah.
Bobby did. And I have to say, after interviewing Bobby, I have such a newfound respect for him and for what he has gone through and worked so hard for. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's the people that voted. So,
What was your impression last night, or how do you feel about Anna being on the show? Do you have a problem with her being a contestant? I mean, we don't need to break down her dancing at all. I mean, if you ask my prediction right now, I think she's gone next week because regardless of her dance skills,
mm,
we all know it's about popularity. It's how you kind of pop off the screen. Are you charismatic? Are you friendly? She didn't exude any friendliness, and maybe that's just her personality, but it's
yeah.
unfortunate. Do you have a problem with her being on the show?
I mean, what's done is done. I can have a problem, but it's only going to affect me, not anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, America has a problem with it in general. Whoopi Goldberg has a problem with it. And I understand because, look, if this wasn't a family show, if this was like an HBO After Dark competition, that's then we're talking a different ball game here. But when you're on an ABC Disney family show like Dancing with the Stars, where you assume, okay, people as a family, kids included, teenagers included, are watching this and they're like, how can I get on Dancing with the Stars so that my parents are like smiling at me behind the TV screen? Like I understand that mentality of like, wow, you need to be a convicted felon now be asked as one of the stars of season 33. Like, it doesn't necessarily send the right message. Look, we've had people who served their time. Teresa Giudice, there's a lot of people that have been in trouble, put it that way, with the
Yeah.
law, but not anyone who's worn, an ankle bracelet under house arrest still, which
Yeah.
is a little, it's a little odd.
Didn't she bedazzle it last night? Did she bedazzle her
I
ankle
mean, I
bracelet?
highly doubt that she
Well,
bedazzled
not her, but
anything,
yeah.
but she had to stay connected to it. I'm assuming she couldn't just take it off and give it to wardrobe, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it's like what's done is done. It's not like I just don't think we're gonna have to worry about it too much.
I mean,
Too
look,
much longer.
I tried. Like, I really wanted to give her a chance, and I
No,
listened to her full interview with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy, and not once did she take accountability. Not once did she apologize. All she said was, "I paid them back," but I don't think she's understanding the point. It's not about paying anybody back. It's about the hurt and the pain that she caused other people. And in order for those people to heal, a part of that means to take accountability from the person who hurt them. And I don't see that ever happening whatsoever. And look, it is what it is. I was hoping that last night with Julianne, I find that those interviews up in the skybox is one of the most important parts of the show, along with their package. She was going to at least say, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I feel like I sucked," or something. Nothing happened. Nothing.
she had, and it was just a. I just
But
couldn't smile.
I
I mean,
when she did an interview with People magazine, supposedly, I just did an interview with them today, and they did say that she felt like she was happy to be done with it because she felt she did horribly. Now, if she would have added those 3 words to Julianne's question, it would have been a different ball game. Like, honestly,
yeah. No, unfortunately,
I don't think she's going
um,
anywhere.
you don't think not for next is next week double
Mm-mm.
elimination? Is that what I heard?
I don't think
Okay.
so. I think it's just one.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Outside of her, night one, um, throwing away the scores. Who did you like? Who did you see has some serious potential this season? Did anyone surprise you?
I'm
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm so proud of Brandon. First of all, Armstrong. He really shocked the crap out of me. Like,
Mm,
he performed. It was the first solid ballroom performance that I saw during the premiere night, and that was already like couple number 6 or 7, which says a lot, and
mhm.
I still believe that they're missing the ballroom element to what this show was originally, right?
Yeah.
This is what makes the show different. This is the reason why they're going on season 33. Like, we just there needs Derek needs to hone down on, like, there are rules, and that, or else what is the challenge here? Anyway, the only people who actually what they were able to execute a proper tango was Chandler and Brandon. Another couple that I loved actually was Jenna and Joey, and I was completely wrong with my predictions. I didn't count him in, but he's definitely the best bachelor that the show's ever seen. Bachelor, that is, not bachelorette. But who else shocked me? I would say Dwight, but not really. Like, I mean, he for me, he hasn't started the competition yet because he's just lifted her. So, like, I needed to see content and substance.
He is. I mean, we've had trust. Obviously, a lot of the women dancers are on the shorter side, but and that height difference just seems like it's just going to be so difficult. I don't know.
You
You're
know, he was
obviously.
supposed to be my partner, right?
Oh, he was. Okay.
My last season, and then as I was driving to the airport, he pulled out last minute.
Oh, okay. And
Thank God he was not my part. I mean, I would have been broken, and I would have had to retire.
well, what I talk about that because obviously you got to be connected. It's how do you be connected with someone who's literally a foot and a half taller than you? It
I
just
mean,
seems
it's
going to be
just
it's going to
not a
be
dance
awkward.
competition. It
Yeah.
is awkward. I mean, this whole
Yeah.
freaking formula is awkward. I mean, isn't that part of the reason why people watch, though?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, some people are just like, wow, he was great. I mean, I know Dwight from the sports world.
Okay.
He's and the other numerous reality shows he's been on, but
Oh,
very
really?
charismatic guy, got a great smile. He's just very likable.
Good.
So that's what would keep him there. But him holding up Danielle,
Danny, we just call her
or
Danny. Yeah.
Danny, like literally like a toothpick. I was just like, this is so weird. But
I
like you
mean, if
said, it wasn't
anyone
much.
can handle a tall dude, it's her. So
Yeah, because she won with Iman, who's 6'6". Yeah, I just watching it. And I thought, Joey, for those that don't know, had the best first night score of any previous Bachelor, not Bachelorette, but Bachelor. No one had ever, between Sean and Nick and Chris Soules and Grocery Joe, he had 21. None of those guys had ever gotten better than
ever. No, I'm kidding.
So yeah. And then, what we did, and I don't have a ton of time here, but we did this the first time around, and we're going to end the podcast with this. And this is kind of like my rapid 10 questions, but these aren't, I don't want one word answers, but shorter so we can rip through these. And these are just about Dancing with the Stars.
You have too many rules.
Yes. So I don't want, basically the only rule is we don't need one word answers. You can expand.
Okay. Got it.
Ready. Okay. All right. First question. Most underrated pro dancer on this show?
Britt. Sorry. That's one word.
No, that's fine.
Do you want me to expand as to why?
I mean, you could a little bit.
It's pretty obvious.
Why do you think she's underrated?
I mean, first of all, I just think that she hasn't been given the easiest celebrities. I mean, she's had definitely a few of them that have been great. I just think that Britt, when she was Troop, I'll never forget, she actually went out of her way to learn ballroom, meaning like when she joined Troop, she was not necessarily a professional ballroom dancer, though she was a professional dancer, but different styles. And what I love is that she went out of her way to compete as an amateur with her pro teacher actively in the competition world. And I just, hats off to her for that, because I don't think anyone else has ever done that before.
Most underrated contestant, non-winner. Could be one of yours.
I mean, I don't want it to be one of mine though there isn't one, but I would say,
who was a lot better than people gave them credit for, man or woman?
Who was a lot better than people gave them credit for?
Yeah, or maybe should have underrated. So they were just like,
I know.
One that comes to my mind, honestly, and I'll answer it for you, is your guy Cody. Because I talked about it last year with you, and I said I don't understand why that Zoom performance that you guys did doesn't get more attention.
Well, first of all, that performance was underrated. I don't know. I mean, look, it was hard for him ballroom. We also had a huge height difference, but that was, I mean, there's a lot of performances I can say that were underrated, but that for sure I was pissed off about, because I was sick. We had COVID. They dropped off the props. They dropped off lighting. Like I was doing everything alone.
As was he. And yet when you watched it live on that performance night, I'm like, these two people are in two separate locations, and they're literally step by step now.
Across the country from each other. Yes.
It was unreal. I still don't know how you did it, but all credit to you there. All right.
Thanks.
Best choreographer. I'm sure there's obviously a lot of great choreographers on that show, but who do you like the best on a consistent
that are
basis?
Still active pros?
Yeah.
Danny and Pasha, I would say.
Okay. All right.
And Derek, obviously, but I wouldn't consider him a pro anymore, obviously.
Yeah. Kind of generic, probably have a lot of them, but what is your favorite memory from the show?
One?
Yeah, I know. That's why. Could be maybe one, somebody that you won.
You know
with,
what? I'm just going to say an overall memory is like in the beginning, like there was no rules between executives hanging out with talent. Like we were all so happy and grateful for the show and how much people loved the show. The ratings were through the roof, and we were just like, we would go up on the third floor at CBS and we would hang out with the judges. It'd be like a green room. We'd watch the show back, and everyone was just so happy. And it wasn't like people were not competing as far as networks competing as much. It was kind of like shocking that a ballroom dance show did so well. And those were the days for sure.
Next one. Do you think Tom Bergeron ever makes another appearance on Dancing with the Stars?
No.
Because they wouldn't ask, or he would never do it?
He's done.
He's done. Okay. Most emotional moment you ever had on the show?
My retirement dance.
Okay. Best pro you ever danced with, either in opening numbers or even in your career outside the show. Who is your favorite partner to dance with?
I would say Max and I dance well together.
Okay. the partner that you had that picked up stuff the easiest.
Juan Pablo de Pache.
And he was on recently, right? On your pod? Was he recent? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Partner that you had that got voted off way earlier than you thought he should have.
Juan Pablo de Pache.
There he is. Wait, I thought
we got 60 out of 60. We didn't make the finals. I mean, I think that is crap. That was Bobby Bones' season.
Oh, okay. That's right. I didn't realize you guys didn't make I thought you were in the final episode, but no.
I mean, you would think we got 60 out of 60, but we did perform our tango again, and he sung. I think that's probably why you thought we were there, but
okay. No, that's probably
we were not there.
All right, final one. One change. I think I already know the answer now from this podcast, but one change you wish the show would make.
What do you think my answer is?
That you want more ballroom.
I just wanted the show. I mean, look, why fix what's not broken? Like, there's nothing to fix. Yeah. I do believe that, look, they are the #1 dance show right now, but when there are other ones coming out, they have to be careful, because this is what made the show so unique and different, was the glitz and glam of what ballroom dancing is. And it's beautiful. I was just on with Mario Lopez. I'm doing rewatches, or I did before this live show, season 33, and I was doing season 3. And I was like, this never runs out of, like, this doesn't go out of style, ballroom. It never does. And it's freaking spectacular still. I just don't understand why we can't stick to it. But we, meaning them, because I no longer am associated as much. But I just hope that this show, at least there has to be a couple of weeks where they could just bring it back to authenticity. Because, like, there's a reason why in tango girls wear skirts. There's a reason why we dance to certain music. Like, it just, everyone goes crazy when they hear authentic music. They're up on their feet. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, totally understandable. Cheryl, again, I love having you on. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your success of Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans. You're going into season 2 now. Like you said, you're doing rewatches of old seasons as well. You're a very busy woman. Thank you for taking the time out and doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, as always. Bye.